You know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful for the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 men.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies. Buchanan?
Nuño.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm okay. I was kind of hoping for a baseball game yesterday, so the baseball game's going to be today, so we'll have a shortened show on the Zone. We don't want to take away from the viewing experience from the baseball game, so that'll be at 9:30, and hopefully they can take care of business.
Yeah, hopefully.
Did you see Bronny kind of post a little bit about Caden Sorrell yesterday? I don't know if you saw that.
I missed that. What do you have to
So
say?
I guess on the injury report, he was listed as, I forget how he was listed, but Bronny did say, don't read too much into it, not like he's going to be able to play, but if anything, maybe pinch hit, if anything. He's not reporting that he's reading the tea leaves based on the injury report. So, you know, not that he would expect him to play the field or anything, but maybe in an emergency situation could pinch hit, potentially. Speculate / deductive reasoning.
Okay, well, I would take anything you can get from Caden Sorrell. He's their best player.
Yeah.
So, if he...
They win more games when he's out there.
Well, he's their best. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even... I don't see how it's debatable that he's their best player.
Now, we're not predicting he's going to play. I just think looking at the injury report, he could potentially be available for that if in an emergency type situation.
But aren't they already in an emergency situation?
Maybe at end of the game, bases loaded, you need all right, who are we going to go? Let's go with that guy, Caden. He's good. Really good.
Yeah. Strikes me, though, if he's too hurt to actually start and play significant time, you're going to put an injured guy out there.
An injured guy with that bat just to swing away, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
If he's available.
I mean, if he could swing, why aren't you DHing him?
I don't know if it's maybe a long-term plan.
Okay. All right.
And again, I don't know. This is all what-if scenarios based on an injury report that could be just gamesmanship. You know, let's make them think about Caden Sorrell a little bit. Back of their mind, anytime there could be a situation. Who knows? Anyway, I want to talk Week 1 football.
Okay.
We have a condensed show, so we're gonna power through things. Okay.
All right.
Week 1. I don't know if you were aware, but Texas A&M's playing UTSA.
The Chaparrals. No, the Roadrunners.
The Roadrunners.
Chaparral's a fancy name for a Roadrunner.
My initial plan was to go through some of the big games in Week 1.
Right.
But as I started reading more about UTSA, I became a little so we can still do that, but I became a little intrigued.
I haven't been doing a lot of
UTSA research?
Yes, research on UTSA yet.
Well, I'm just starting my research, okay? But here's a little thought for you. They finished 7-6 last year.
Okay. I think they played a lot of close games.
They did. They won the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Okay.
Okay.
They were a perfect 6-0 at home, which means they went 1-6 away from San Antonio.
Okay.
Okay. Offensively, they scored 33.2 points per game. That's 27th nationally. We know that they will typically have a very good offense. Owen McCown is their quarterback. Threw for over 3,424 yards. Defensively, they gave up 30 points a game, 102nd nationally.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the problem.
Yeah.
But, they're playing. Did they not play at least a couple of, I know they played Texas, and then they play another.
I think they played a couple,
Yeah, I think they don't duck
anyway,
anybody. Yeah,
no.
they'll play.
Jeff Traylor, who, remember, there was a little,
Gilmer, Texas.
he thought he might be the A&M coach at some
Well,
point.
there was some talk about
Yeah.
that.
So a little bit more on McCown. He completes 62% of his passes, averaged 283 yards passing per game, and a running back in Robert Henry, who gave them 706 yards on the ground. As a team, they averaged 167 yards per game.
You know Owen McCown's uncle, right?
Of course,
All right.
part of the McCown family. Luke McCown, Cade McCown,
Randy McCown,
Randy McCown.
quarterback here.
Yeah. Who was on our Lone Star shootout, Lone Star rivalry on here
He threw
just
the pass
8 months ago.
He threw the pass to Sir Parker, did he not? The last time A&M won a conference championship.
I don't believe
In
it
overtime.
was him.
Was it Brandon Stewart?
It was, I believe it was
Okay.
B. Stu.
Okay.
I'm 97% sure, but it was the season that they both played quarterback.
I know
yes.
he threw a big pass and somewhere, it all gets jumbled. Maybe
Before I get in trouble, Nick, fact check that, but I'm fairly
maybe he
sure
threw
I'm
the
right
pass
there.
to kid from Luling, Bumgarner against Texas.
That's what he did.
Okay.
I'll have Nick fact check me on that, but I'm 90% sure. So here's a little bit of UTSA information. So the offensive good and the defensive bad. Okay, 33 points per game. We already talked about Owen McCown, a wide receiver. Willie McCoy is very good. 2 of the top 16 defenders. That's not many. Returning this year.
I wonder if they
2 of
call-
their top 16 defenders are returning.
I wonder if they call Willie McCoy Slim.
Slim McCoy
I'll explain it to you later.
at a break.
Yeah, because you don't tug on Superman's cape or spit into the wind.
How do I know this line? Where's that from?
It's from a Jim Croce song. You don't mess around with Jim.
Yeah.
And at the end, he gets beaten by a pool shooting boy. My name is Willie McCoy, but back home they call me Slim. You don't mess around with Slim.
You don't mess around with Slim.
Sorry,
Anyway,
folks. Except for all you Jim Croce fans out there, and I know there's millions of you.
they lost their best defensive player, Jamori Robinson, in the transfer portal. So they lost.
Do you know where
him.
Jamori went?
I don't know where he went. Martavius French transferred to Colorado, is another big player on their team. Oh, and here's a name you'll be familiar with: Denver Harris.
Oh, yes, Denver Harris.
He left for UNLV to join the Fighting Dan Mullins.
How many teams? He's been at A&M, he's been at LSU, UTSA, and now UNLV.
That's the new world. Here's a name you've heard.
Defensive coordinator quit?
Is that
Zach Arnett?
Did he quit?
I think he quit.
Here's one for you: Shad Banks. Remember Shadrack Banks? Was once gonna,
he was here as a receiver, but he was too big and they wanted to play linebacker. And I guess he had an issue with that, so he went to TCU to play linebacker.
Well, he transferred to UTSA.
Okay. Man, I remember watching him play receiver in high school. I think he went to North Shore. Boy, he was spectacular.
And then they have a couple of other transfers on the safety side of things. Cameron Upshaw came from Memphis. KK Meyer from Nevada.
Okay. Well, look, they're going to be a team that is going to challenge you. They're not.
I think it's an interesting start to the season. That
you're better than them, but they're a team that's going to make you work because they're not afraid of anybody.
There's a lot of so the week 1 can be, I think, one of 2 things: a marquee matchup or a cupcake. Very rarely
this is in between.
This is exactly right. Yeah, in between, like a team that can beat you if you don't bring your game. But a team you should take care of business.
Yeah. I think that's the perfect kind of opening game.
But do players know the history the way we know? Like we know.
No, they'll be excited just to play the first game.
Yeah.
And the coaches are going to tell them. Now, are they going to listen? But I think just the excitement of playing a first game will carry you through.
Yeah. So let's go through some of the other games on week 1, shall we? I know Nick is going to get back to us here in a second. All right, how about this one? Texas, Ohio State. First game of the season. Arch Manning, Julian Sayin.
Yeah, that's...
Remember, Julian Sayin was initially committed to Alabama. Mm-hmm. And then when Nick Saban retired, he's like, going to go join Ryan Day.
Yeah, that's going to be that's going to be a clash of titans, obviously.
Yep. And
a rematch.
A rematch.
From the semifinals.
of a game that Texas had an absolute chance at the very, very end.
They did. And both teams lost a lot of great players.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they restock.
Jack Sawyer, by the way.
Jack Sawyer.
He's the one who made the big play.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And thank you, by the way, to Jack and his family, his parents. Thank you very much for that. Here's another one for you. Saturday, August 30th.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, Miami.
Are they going to try to do the Catholics versus convicts thing?
They should. They make another 30 for 30, the third one. Carson Beck. Sorry, I've just does nothing for me.
Yeah, he really does. I mean, he's a good player. I don't think he's a great player.
But think about it.
Is he getting $4 million? He needs
Something
to be a
like
great
that.
player.
If Cam Ward, to me, is the reason Miami had such a nice season last year. Okay? They
Primary
have some
reason.
other pieces, but like he was spectacular.
He was.
So if Cam Ward, who was spectacular last year, is no longer there, no matter what is a step back. Now you're getting a name in Carson Beck, but Carson Beck has underperformed what I think people expected from him in his career.
Once again, when he was surrounded by great talent, he took advantage of it. When he had good protection and he had Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey, he was very productive.
Yep.
When those guys got hurt that year, he struggled. So it makes you wonder how much of it was about Carson Beck and how much was about everything he had around him.
LSU at Clemson.
Now there's
the Tigers versus the Tigers, baby.
The claim to who can claim is the real Death Valley. I hear people talk about Clemson being a national championship contender.
I hear the same thing about LSU. I know you don't believe it, but I hear people say it. Yeah, absolutely. They think LSU is going to be.
They say that about LSU every year.
I feel like I'm hearing it more this year
I
than
heard
last year.
the Matt Moscona over there was saying this is going to be the most talented team that Brian Kelly's ever had. And really?
I think they had the highest ranking transfer portal.
Yeah, they had number one transfer portal. Yeah, that's true. But are those transfers going to be in some places they're probably going to be better than what they had. In some places they won't, especially left tackle.
Here's one that I don't expect to be close. All right, and maybe it's not fair. Alabama and Florida State.
Yeah, I would take Alabama right now without even knowing what this.
I think the line's 11.5 because I looked at it this morning. Yeah,
I take Alabama.
I would absolutely take Alabama.
We talked about it yesterday and the whole Mike Norvell thing, and I guess I'm not a believer in him. I think at Florida State, 10 wins should not only be expected, but should almost be taken for granted in the SEC. And I'm sorry, in the ACC.
Yeah.
And last year, you won 2?
Alabama has covered in 10 straight openers, including a 17-point win over Florida State in 2017.
Yeah.
And let's remind the folks, they went 2-10 last year.
That 17-point loss, that 17-point cover over Florida State, was that Jimbo Fisher's last year there?
Yeah, because he was at
and that was when they had the quarterback with the kind of French name. I can't think of his name right now.
Francois.
Yeah. And he got hurt. It was a game. It was a game.
And he got hurt in the third quarter, I believe, or late in the second half, right?
Getting hit deep in his own end of the field at the return, and it went downhill from there.
A couple other games that I'm interested in, but not at the same level of these games, okay? TCU at North Carolina. Interested because it's Bill Belichick's first game.
Yeah.
And the more I read about Bill Belichick...
A huge Big 12 ACC matchup, man, that just makes no sense.
The more I read about Bill Belichick's situation, not just because of his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, the more I think, I don't know how long-term he's... Like, I just don't see it being long-term fit.
Well, isn't he like 75 or something?
He looks pretty good, though.
Yeah, but I think once you get in your 70s, I don't know how, because I'm almost there. I don't know how long-term you can be.
Auburn at Baylor. Do you care?
Yeah, I care. I always keep up with the SEC teams to see what they do. Give me an idea of what to expect from Auburn.
Yeah. Auburn at Baylor. Here's something for you. Baylor has lost 11 straight outright in this scenario. 5 win. What is it? Dave Aranda's record against nationally ranked opponents this year is 5 in his career is 5-15.
He's at Baylor.
He's a
And
Baylor.
he's won 5 games against nationally ranked teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's another one here for you. I'm not that interested in, but maybe. Syracuse at Tennessee.
Oh, if I was covering it, I would probably write about how Tennessee opened the season against Syracuse in '98, their national championship. T. Martin with a big game after Peyton Manning had left. So, and then they take over. And I think they had to come from behind to win it, something like 40-38.
Yeah. I remember that it was kind of the conversations we have on this show, like, you're not going to be as good without Peyton Manning. And then T. Martin delivered a phenomenal season.
Oh, yeah, he was a really good college quarterback. But they had a lot of talent around him.
Yeah. By the way.
And they can always thank the fighting Texas Aggies for making it possible for them to win the national championship, because they don't even play if the Aggies don't defeat Kansas State.
Yep.
Which brings us back to who threw the touchdown pass to Sir Parker.
I'm pretty sure it was Brandon Stewart. Billy,
you're probably right.
Nick, am I right about that?
Yeah.
It was Brandon Stewart.
Okay. Yeah. So McCown, I think, then must have been the guy who threw the touchdown pass to.
I believe you're 100% correct on that. Yeah.
To Baumgartner.
Because I remember talking to McCown about that, Randy here in studio because that was
Matt Baumgartner.
That season. It was kind of both quarterbacks played, and I remember talking about that specifically on our Lone Star look back. All right, by the way, this is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. They're our official insurance provider. They're my official insurance provider. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. They've got 60 offices in the great state of Texas, but their headquarters is right here in College Station on Highway 6. Jason, Jackson, Morgan, the whole crew, Keith, will take great care of you. You see them all around town. Make sure you check them out when you're looking for a change in insurance, which you should be considering all of your options right now. If you got kids about to start driving or have some kind of very high premium, call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Currently hanging out in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone, great place to be. Let's go around the room and say hi to the people. Behind the glass is a guy who's already spoken on the show, Nick Savage. Nick, good morning.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Well, just going back to the baseball game today, I don't know if you saw the rest of that Bronny note. And if you did, I'm sorry, I was doing a bunch of other things, but Ryan Prager's going to get the start today because of the game being pushed back, a little bit more rest. He only threw 67 pitches on Thursday in his start against Georgia, so might be a blessing in disguise there. You let your ace roll out there, and for Caden Sorrell, he won't be available to hit. He'll be available to play defense and pinch run. So he's unavailable to swing the bat.
Gotcha.
But still, big development. I know he's a good runner. He can play some good defense.
Is Bronny reporting that he will be, or potentially?
He's available.
Okay.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway.
Hopefully Prager will pitch like, we'll see Prager at his best, hopefully, and some other guys.
Part of me kind of wanted Weston Moss to pitch, to push Prager back deeper, because you would think the harder the games are going to get harder as you go on, right? But you've got to win the first one, or it doesn't matter.
Well, don't they always have you don't play day to day, right?
Well, you do, but I believe they've changed the schedule because they had to push the game back.
Okay.
So there was supposed to be a break after the second game that you would play.
Gotcha.
But I believe they
so now it's going to be every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you have to do that to get all those games in.
Yeah.
Why don't they use 2 fields?
I don't know what the Hoover situation's like.
Well, I mean, you could find a place to go where you could use 2 fields.
Yeah, I don't know Hoover's baseball situation. It's a question for Bronny.
Probably got a nice place in Birmingham.
And also TV reasons. I don't know. I'm just assuming.
You can't send one crew one place, one crew to another.
Okay. You want all the eyeballs.
I don't know.
You just like to cause chaos.
I do. I'm like Coach Chaos.
You know what? Just for that, I'm gonna make you do chaos. Give everybody the phone number to call the show.
1939.
979-693-1150.
1150
on the puppies.
1939 is the year A&M won their national championship. So that's just the number that I always come up with. 1939.
I think it's 2024, the last time we won a national championship
in football.
Yeah. Ava Davis is at the Angry Elephant News. I'm going to turn my back to him. News and Social Center. Hello, Ava.
Hi, how are you?
Now, not so good. After that exchange, not loving it. How are you?
I'm good. Today, I have, going off of what y'all were talking about, the baseball game. Due to weather last night, the baseball game between Texas A&M and Mississippi State was postponed to today at 9:30. This will be the opening round game for the SEC tournament. If winning, the Aggies will face Auburn tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Texas A&M enters the SEC tournament with an overall season record of 28-25. Only once in program history has Texas A&M claimed the SEC tournament championship in 2016.
I remember that.
You were here?
Yeah, I was here.
I was not.
I've been here for a while.
Yeah.
Was that the Boomer White year?
I don't know.
I don't know either. You know, they all start running together.
We're asking a lot of questions we can't answer today.
That's why I keep notes.
Yeah, we've got to start asking questions at the desk, not when we're here where we can't use Mr. Google. Continue on.
Coming up with women's basketball, Texas A&M women's basketball is excited to announce the addition of Little Rock transfer Emerald Parker to the 2025-26 roster. Coach Taylor says she had a great freshman year and is ready to continue to grow as a player and a person. She adds great depth to our front court and is built for the SEC. Emerald will be the perfect fit for our culture, and the 12th man will love her. This rising redshirt sophomore averaged 7.6 points and 6.2 rebounds and 30 starts last season for the Trojans. Parker is the 7th player to sign with the Aggies this offseason.
Awesome stuff, Ava. Thanks very much. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back. Sometimes people just write things to write things.
Yeah.
I got somebody who wrote. I'm not going to even call people out. I saw the theory out there, and I just think this theory is dumb. That's my tease for the next day.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's just dumb. So sorry, whoever wrote it. I don't even know. So if I hurt your feelings, you know where you can find me. But I'm not trying to be mean. If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, you need to check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during marquee events held throughout the year. We're talking Aggie Ring Day, all Aggie Hullabaloo, the gathering. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests. And there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of those attendees. These events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brands. This includes title sponsorship naming, on-site presence, activation recognition, and social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for the last 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Lucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Lucci sent you by.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program is typically at 10:50. Not today, because we're going to end the show at 9:15. But right now, how about we give away a pizza at 979-693-1150. Caller number 12 will hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, OB.
Yeah.
I did some research on the topic that I was going to. My research, I just went back to kind of look at it.
The dumb theory?
The dumb theory. So the person who wrote about the dumb theory is quoting somebody else who wrote about the dumb theory.
Okay.
So it's not the person. So I read this as a headline on Twitter, but it's from SI. SI is getting it from somebody else. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And basically it's saying Texas A&M head coach Mike Elko is entering, this is the headline, Texas A&M head coach Mike Elko is entering must-win game versus Notre Dame. According to some, the pressure is already building on Texas A&M head coach Mike Elko. I want to just take a moment to do a public service announcement. The term must-win is so overused. A must-win means to keep your job. A must-win to me means to make the postseason. Let me just give a scenario out there. Because this happened last year.
Yeah, that's just last year.
You lose early to Notre Dame.
Don't do it, though.
Yeah, please don't. Let's win. And you rattle off 11 straight wins. Not saying it's going to happen. Or
Well,
whatever. At that
especially
point, it
since,
would be 10 straight wins, right? Or that would be the 9 straight. Do you think Coach Elko, is it still a must-win?
No.
Okay.
All that does is tell me how sad it is that a once leader in the industry, Sports Illustrated.
I don't think Sports Illustrated is the one. They're writing about what somebody else wrote, which to me is kind of what's wrong with journalism today.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. How it was once the leader in the industry is now just come to this.
But the topic itself, I'm trying to think, is there anybody in college football right now that has a must-win in the first, I'm not saying first month of the season, but first real game of the season, a must-win? If Mike Norvell loses to Alabama game 1, I don't think he's getting fired.
No.
Now, the story will be told as the year goes on, and that could be that was the big domino that fell, potentially, right?
Right.
But
if Brian Kelly loses to Clemson, he's not going to get fired.
By the way,
or he's not going to be in.
If A&M goes on the road and beats Notre Dame, it's going to be a big deal.
But you've
what do they
still
do
got a lot
after?
of work to do.
Because we just lived that life. We didn't beat Notre Dame. A&M did not. But, they just lived that. There was so much season after that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Look, I get it. Off season, we got to talk about things. We got to bring topics up to help fill time, I guess. That's not a real topic.
Yeah, and that's why what I said about Sports Illustrated. That used to be the voice of reason, and also to tell you the when you read it in Sports Illustrated back in the day, it was, you could almost come out and say, okay, this is absolute fact, and it's just not that way.
And it's just it's. I think it's gonna. John Harris is going to be joining us in a second, but journalism today has become, what can people click on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Let's do something that everybody can click on and just get the people outraged. That's not journalism.
No.
I'm sorry.
Sensationalism.
The originator of the topic, do you think that they have sources over there actually telling them, oh, yeah, man, the pressure's off?
What was it, sliced bread?
It might have been sliced bread.
Yeah.
Might have been sliced bread. Guys, you don't have to create a narrative that isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hope they win. They better win. But it's not a must-win. A must-win has, it's got to mean something. If you die on a TV show and you show up the next episode it was an accident. I didn't really die. It didn't mean something.
You don't like South Park then, huh?
I've never watched South Park ever.
Kenny? You killed Kenny, you bastard.
I know you're not surprised. I've never,
No.
not a moment.
Not a moment.
No, not
I have to admit, I have watched.
It seems like your kind of show.
Yeah, and laughed like an idiot.
Well, there is that. All right, let's hit a break. We'll be joined by John Harris. I'm going to ask John about must-wins.
You do that.
Yeah. John, he'll give me a 19-minute answer about, no, that's stupid. I'm guessing because I know my guy. I know my guy. It's not a must win. Now, it'd be a hell of a win.
Yeah, it'd be a great win.
Hell of a win, right? Like going on the road, beating a top 10 team, hell of a win.
Yes.
Still got a lot more work to do.
Yeah, because you don't want to. Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame last year on the road.
Yeah.
And had a very mediocre season.
Mm-hmm. There you go. It was a must-win for Northern Illinois, though. That's why they won. It was must-win. Their coach was going to get
They
fired.
didn't even win the MAC. They beat Notre Dame, but didn't win the MAC.
Yeah.
Let's look up and see what their record was.
All right. Can you say something profound and kind of artistic about 1775?
That's a must-eat.
Must-eat. Yeah.
That's a must-eat.
Yeah, you got to eat.
Tomorrow's never guaranteed. Tomorrow is Thursday, by the way, and they can guarantee that they'll be open. But tomorrow's never guaranteed. So if you eat there like tomorrow, and then
you like that song?
Tomorrow?
Yeah, Annie.
Oh yeah, I guess. And then passed on Friday. At least you could go happy because you experienced that must-eat barbecue from 1775.
We don't overrate it. This is like it's been. Remember the taste challenge between Coke and Pepsi.
I do remember that.
Or like there was Where's the Beef with was it Wendy's?
Yeah, that was
right?
Wendy's.
Right. Like we've actually had people go, yeah, I want to see if you're telling the truth. And what do they tell you?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I always bring up Marcel Reed's dad, Rod. Said, okay, we heard about it so much, we went and tried it out. Okay, you're right.
They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. 8203 Ravensaucer Parkway in College Station. Call them up, 979-492-6241, or visit 1775txbbq.com. All right, guys, let's talk about some new partners. Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. They're Aggie owned and operated. They are an mobile IV hydration company that was founded back in 2024. I met with Sheldon and Danny over the last week, and they're awesome people. They really know what they're doing. They're proud to serve Bryan College Station with awesome services like IV hydration, Botox, and even some weight loss options. Whether you're looking for a quick boost of hydration or dehydration preventative, they can tailor an IV cocktail specific to your needs. And on a busy weekend, I know some of you guys might be partying a little bit too much. If that's the case, an IV can be one of the easiest ways to ensure you're receiving all those necessary vitamins and minerals that make you feel better. Their overall mission is to bring a more personalized and accessible wellness option to the broader range of clientele here in the Bryan College Station and Brazos Valley area. To book an appointment or inquire about it, just call them up or text them. 979-217-1561. Again, it's Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. Check them out. It's our friends at Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. Let's keep water local, guys. Water isn't something that comes out of the taps. It's the lifeblood of everything we love about our home. And right now, out-of-town interests are eyeing our water, threatening our community's future. That's why I want you to consider joining Keep Water Local, a group of neighbors fighting to protect what matters most. If you care about this community, it's not just about the water that comes out of your taps. It's about preserving the farms, the businesses, and the Aggie spirit that makes this place so special. Losing control of water means losing our future. Want to make a difference? Head to keepwaterlocal.org. Get involved. Let's keep our water here where it belongs. Local. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the hotline, the Buppies Catering Hotline. John Harris, footballtakeover.com founder, and of course, Houston Texans sideline reporter, joining us here on the program. Johnny, what up?
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm thrown off a little bit by going a little bit earlier than I normally have. It throws off the internal homeostasis. But, I love tournament baseball, especially once, it started, 9:30 in the morning and then play all day. I love those baseball tournaments. I used to love when I was playing in them. Start all day, play all night. That's awesome stuff. So, hopefully the Aggies get together and win a baseball game today.
I kind of see John Harris as a third baseman.
John, where were you? Well, when you played ball, where did you play?
I started off as a catcher. That's probably where I was going to play in college. But then I did move to third base my junior year. And I was that close to signing with going to the Air Force Academy. A guy by the name of Paul Manieri, who I think you remember from LSU, was actually the coach that recruited me to go to the Air Force Academy. And in the end, I wanted to play football. And so that meant that I went from the polar opposite of Air Force to Brown University. So, yeah, I played third base. That was where I played.
Hot corner.
Hot corner. Hey, Johnny, there's a topic that came up on the show that I think I know what your answer is going to be, but maybe not. Let's just see. So I read an article about another article, because that's how media works today, right? People got to write about what other media talks about, and then they get the clicks for it. Hey, so-and-so says this. What do you think about what they said that I have no original thought to? And so I read something that says the Notre Dame game for A&M is already feeling like a must-win in the Mike Elko era at Texas A&M. And I don't know about you, but must-wins mean something different to me.
I think that's a tough pill. I mean, to swallow, to be honest, because look, beating Notre Dame at Notre Dame is not easy, especially a team that features more than likely the best running back in the country, and Jeremiah Love, at least the best draft prospect running back in the country, and Jeremiah Love. And now they've got an experienced offensive line. They've got, at all three levels, I think, of the defense, they've got a stud in each one, and you're playing in Notre Dame. So I think that is completely and totally unfair to Mike Elko for that to be, oh, yeah, it's a gotta win. You got to have that game. Now, I will say the Aggies can't go up to South Bend and lose 41-6. They can't get their teeth kicked in. But if A&M is what I think they're going to be, and what I think a lot of people think they're going to be, I think they're going to go up there and get in a fist fight with Notre Dame, and it may not be the prettiest game in the world, but I do think it's going to be a game that's competitive on both sides. Notre Dame's going to be breaking in a new quarterback. So there are elements of, yeah, Mike needs to win, some big games. College football and just, football in general has changed. You don't have the John McKay 5-year plans anymore. You've got to have, that victory that you can hang your hat on. So I kind of see that part of it like that. That would be a big win for Mike. But to say it's he's got to win this, or he's going to lose the fan base or lose whatever, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. That is a difficult place to win. You're facing the national champion runner-up in their building, a team that is very well coached. I don't agree with that statement whatsoever. So, if we're playing this game of telephone, I don't know who started that, but I don't agree with that. Now, again, because we're playing a game of telephone, you don't even really know what the original author said. But I do think there will be, some internal pressure, and there will be some Aggies that say, look, we want to know what Mike Elko is all about. This is a big temperature gauge kind of game for that. Like I said, can't go up to Notre Dame and lose 41-6 and then feel like things are moving in the right direction.
I think that's exactly right. And OB, before you comment, K-Mick on the chat, I think, said something, pretty profound or smart. Not a literal must-win, but for the fan base, the morale, it is extremely important.
Well, it is extremely important. And I think you go up there with the absolute intention to win and feel like you're going to have a chance to win. But if you don't win, but you play a competitive game, they were competitive last year, I think you come away thinking, okay, what's the rest of the season going to be like? I think if what John said, if you go up there and get your teeth kicked in and lose 41-6, yeah, then there may be some doubts creeping in. But even then, you will have the opportunity to come back. What if you got beat by Notre Dame but beat LSU in Texas? I think everybody will be okay with that, don't you think, John?
Yeah, I think absolutely. OB said it perfectly. Yeah, and look, you lose the Notre Dame game, and I think it goes back to, it's. I mean, look, Mike was very successful as defense coordinator, but what is he as a head coach? I think that's what people maybe still trying to figure out. And I think you establish, your identity as a head coach, and you want that validation of, we're doing the right things. And so, yes, a win at Notre Dame would validate what he's doing. I think would validate it for the fans. But if you lose to Notre Dame, it doesn't mean the season's over. I go back to Ohio State in 2014. They lost the second week of the year to Virginia Tech, and it was like, season's over at home. And Virginia Tech wasn't even ranked. And I just remember Ohio State fans just ready to, jump off the top of the horseshoe, like, we're done with this season. And they turned around and won like 10 or 11 straight and lost their quarterback going into the playoff and still won the playoff, winning a national championship with a third-string quarterback at that point. So, look, an early season loss is one that you can absorb, but I think for Toby's point, I think the fan base needs to feel like, yes, this is moving in the right direction. I think you got some of that momentum last year. But the way the season ended, I think there was still like, all right, well, you still got questions about this guy. We're not totally sure just yet. And then Notre Dame is lurking. And I think it's a game last year that a lot of Aggies, I felt, even that, they should beat Notre Dame. I don't know how good Notre Dame is. Well, it turned out Notre Dame is really well coached, really physical, and they walked into that building and won the second half. And that wasn't something a lot of people expected them to do. I think we know how good Notre Dame is now. But if you lose Notre Dame on the road, yet you beat LSU in Texas, I think if I'm an Aggie, I'm really excited about that. Unless you then trip your toe up and lose to Auburn or Mississippi State or one of those other guys, Arkansas even. I know the Arkansas game is at Arkansas. But David and I talked about this last time, that stretch of games in the middle of the season. That's going to be a tough road when you're going on the road a few times in a row. But beat Notre Dame, and the flip side is true too. Beat Notre Dame, you're going to have expectations go sky high. And then if you lose to LSU in Texas, well, you're right back where you started too. So I think as I'd like to see, go to Notre Dame, compete your butt off, make sure your identity as a offense and defense are established, and then ride that through the rest of the season. And I think you'll be just fine and just where you want to be at the end of the year playing Texas.
By the way, I want to read this text from Matt in Houston. It says, it's a must-win because where else are you going to win games if you don't win that one? And my response to that is you could lose your 3 games against top 10 teams right now. Notre Dame, LSU, and Texas, right? You could lose those 3 games, and it wouldn't feel good. I'm not saying I'm signing up for this, and still win 9 games.
Yeah.
And I think a 9-win season, everybody would be happy with. They're not elated, right? 10 wins, I think, is the but I think, all right, I see the progress. Am I right here, Johnny?
Well, to Matt's point, I think it's more a dig at Notre Dame, saying, well, look, if we don't beat Notre Dame, then we can't, we're not going to beat anybody big on the schedule. I disagree with that. That's a really good Notre Dame football team in their building. And they've been very good under Marcus Freeman, other than Northern Illinois game last year, in their building. So I disagree with that. And because the game is so early in the season, if you lose that game, as the Aggies did show last year, they lost that game to Notre Dame early. They bounced back. They had some big wins. They beat LSU at home. Probably get a break here or there, play a little bit better in the third, fourth quarter. Maybe you beat Texas too. But just because you lose to a top 10 team early in the season, it doesn't mean that you can't bounce back and win those games later. It's going to be tough, but who knows whether you get an injury out of training camp. And I've seen this with the Texans. You get an injury out of training camp with a guy, and maybe you struggle because of that early, but then you get that guy back or a couple guys back, and all of a sudden you're a different team by the time you do play Arkansas, LSU, and that, road game triumvirate you've got in the middle of your schedule. So I disagree with that. And I think Notre Dame's a damn good football team, and they got a lot coming back from last year's team that got all the way to the national championship game. So I think Matt's comment is more kind of a commentary on Notre Dame. Like, you lose to Notre Dame, but that doesn't mean that, you're going to start losing the teams just because, Notre Dame's an unranked. Notre Dame's a top 7, top 8 team in the country, and you're playing at their place. So I do think that a loss to Notre Dame does not signal, throw up the emergency flares, it's all over. I disagree with that. And I think last year is a good example of that. If I had told you last year at this time, hey, you're going to get beat by Notre Dame at home in the opener in front of a massive crowd, what would you have thought the record for the team was going to be? I mean, I think there would be a lot of people going, oh, man, that's not going to go well. And it ended up going pretty well up until a point, but it went pretty well after that. So I do think even a loss to Notre Dame, you can rebound and get it back going again. But what you can't have happen is when you hit that road gauntlet, you can't get wiped. You just cannot get wiped in that gauntlet. You got to make sure you come out of that 2-1. And if you do, then you're going to be sitting right where you want to be, regardless of what happens against Notre Dame or not.
Johnny, thank you, brother. Have a great day.
Appreciate you guys.
Later, man. John Harris on the Buffy's Catering Hotline. Daily Company is a family-owned licensed insurance business that offers HVAC, electrical, and plumbing and generator services available 24/7. They have HVAC, thermostat repairs, refrigerant leaks, furnace failures, seasonal tune-ups. On the plumbing side, they can take care of your leak repairs, your clogged drains, your water heater installation, maintenance to keep those pipes in top shape, electrical wiring, outlet repairs, generator repairs, maintenance, installation, you name it. They serve College Station, Houston, and Austin with upfront pricing and no surprises. Contact the Daily Company at 979-260-2020. That's 979-260-2020. Or visit them at godaily.com to experience the daily difference. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Just 2 minutes left in this segment. Let me talk to you about if your wheels have been damaged by the potholes and curbs or mediums, go see the experts at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. Don't replace damaged rims. Repair them. The experts there have over 2 decades of experience. They're going to make sure that your wheels return to perfectly safe working condition. They road force balance all their wheels to make sure you get the smoothest, most safe ride possible. And they have experience in repairing everything from those minor curb rashes, polishing, to much more complex jobs like bent or cracked rims. If your wheels are in good shape but you want a fresh new look, let the pros there at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair create a custom, unique look for you. It is Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. Find them at bvwheelrepair.com or in person at 508 Burnett Street in Bryan. Obi, I did not expect or plan on that topic to kind of take over the hour like it did, but I think it's interesting because everything's a matter of perspective, right? Like, to me, it's not a must-win in the literal form, but it'll do so much goodwill for this fan base. But again, like we did with baseball, you look at the totality of the season, and if they were to lose that game, but win a couple of big games down the stretch, like Texas potentially, LSU, I think you're like, look, that sucked that we lost, just like last year. It sucked that they lost that Notre Dame game. They could have had it, in my opinion. But you look at the totality of the season. And if the totality of the season means you lose the entire month of November, that season sucked, regardless of what happened the first week or third week.
Look, when they go to Notre Dame, I'm going to go up there with the full expectation that A&M wins. I think A&M is going to have a good football team. I really do.
I do too.
And I know John said Notre Dame has good players at every level of defense. They have to replace a ton on defense. Yeah. So what about the other guys? We'll see. It won't be easy. And if they win, it doesn't mean they're going to have a great season. Like I said, Northern Illinois went 4-4 in the MAC, and they beat Notre Dame.
All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back, Obi's going to hang out for a couple of minutes.
Sure.
Right?
Why not?
Let's do an extra segment and get you ready for the Aggie baseball game. I got a little college football playoff idea or two. We'll discuss that and more. Not really that much more. It's TexAgs Live. Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olsen wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. Just want to talk to you guys about Heritage Films. Agriculture families understand something that city folks often miss. It's life moves fast in seasons, and each one matters. And Farm and Ranch Films is this new product that he's delivering now, the newest offering from Heritage Films that helps you bottle those moments before they're gone. Imagine your grandchildren seeing not just what your operation looks like, but understanding the principles that it's built on. Chance McClain and his team don't just film interviews. They create cinematic legacies with Netflix-quality production, from daily routines to the once-in-a-lifetime moments to capture what makes your agriculture story so unique. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit yourheritagefilm.com and click on the Farm and Ranch or call 713-893-8341. OB, hijacking the show again, okay? So I thought I was going to go one direction, but I'm going to read this. Randy Etheridge, he's a Longhorn who listens, very polite young man. I don't know if he's young. He's probably super old. And he says his sister's an Aggie, and she would not be cool with 3 losses. I can promise you that. That is from me talking to Johnny earlier when we were saying, if you lose Notre Dame, but if you just lose your top 10 matchups, right? Potential top 10 matchups in Texas, Notre Dame, LSU. And nobody's going to be okay with that. But if you go 9-3, you will feel that that's progress. Progress is different than being happy. Like, yes, I want to win 10 games at a minimum every year at an institution at Texas A&M, and I think we freaking should. But taking a step back without emotion, if you win 9 games, it's an improvement on an 8 wins. Mm-hmm. And that was my point.
I think it would depend on how they looked.
Sure.
And who they were against. I think he's right, and I applaud his sister. If you're whoever his sister is, if she says, "I'm not satisfied with 9 wins," it's, we're talking about going into a season and say, "Oh yeah, I'll accept 3 losses." No, I think you should go in, like you said. First of all, I think you should go in expecting or planning to win 12. But I also think you have to be realistic when you haven't been that team. At Alabama, in Georgia, and Ohio State, you go in, I expect to win 12 games. But most programs can't, not even Texas. So I think that go in expecting to win 10 games, I think is legit. And
so are you saying you expect them to win 10 games this year, or you're saying that should be the expectation?
That should be the expectation every year.
Yeah.
For all the reasons that we've always talked about with geography and so on and so forth. But then at the end of the season, you kind of look and appraise what happened. If you went 9-3 and got just pummeled in your 3 losses, if you got 9-3 and you beat Notre Dame and then lost 3 games in November, right? And so it kind of depends on how they look.
Well, and also I think how they finish. For instance,
I'd rather finish strong than start
exactly.
strong.
If last year would have been 8-4, okay, but November you won all those games, kind of like the Florida story, right? The Florida story was that last year. They struggled early, they finished strong. If A&M finishes strong this offseason with the exact same record, I just spit everywhere. There's we're gonna have to get a cleaning crew. The same record, but just finish strong. Our offseason would feel so much different right now.
Absolutely,
same record.
If you just beat Auburn, what do you think, Ava? Would you take 3 losses? Would that be okay with you today?
I think so.
Okay, we'll see. It doesn't work for everybody. I think as of today, I expect 10 wins.
You expect 10 wins today?
As of today. But I expect 10 wins every year. Yeah, now, I understand.
Realistic expectation, though? Do you really,
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
Because to me, want and expect are different things.
Yeah. Well, we just talked yesterday about 2 different media outlets that have nothing to do with A&M, and both of them project A&M to be 10-2.
Yeah.
I mean, look, A&M should have been, and that's a problem. Should goes with A&M too much. I always say A&M too often stands for almost. You should have beat Auburn. And if you did beat Auburn, you're 9-3, and you had a chance, and a good chance in all your losses.
Yeah, but
and I see them, quite frankly, like I said, I think the offense is going to be better than it was last year. You're going to get Le'Veon Moss back, I assume. The defense, I I'm optimistic for the simple reason is that Mike Elko is going to be more involved.
I don't know who wrote this, and it was mean, and it made me laugh on the boards yesterday. But somebody said you should call A&M A&F because if, and that's I feel like the last 5 years has been if Haynes King doesn't get hurt in week 2, if this, if that, and like it's just so many ifs that I have a hard time this year saying I expect 10 wins. I actually don't expect 10 wins. I want 10 wins.
Okay.
I don't expect it.
I just think that, and again, it's a broken record with me, but I look at the resources and all the things available and the money they put into it and how you should be able to get good players from Texas because there's so many of them. And I look at all those things, and I now think you got a good coach, all those things. And I think that A&M should expect 10-win seasons. Now, they've had what? I'm going to call 2020 a 10-win season because they only played 10 games, went 9-1, right? So that's 90% of your games. But so since they've gotten to the SEC, if you count 2020, they've had 2 10-win seasons. That's it. So to your point, but that doesn't mean that I should expect that from this program. If you have good coaching, not every year is going to come out. You know, hell, I've seen I covered some Mac Brown years where they didn't win 10 games. But if you have good coaching, you should expect to be able to put out a program that can win 10 games a year. Now, I'll also say this: it is more difficult to do that in the SEC than it used to be in the late years of the Big 12 and then obviously in the SWC.
I'm going to use Josh Pate's top 20 that he had last week.
All right.
And just
does he project records?
No, he's just talking about his post-spring 2025 rankings. But I want to go through these teams that A&M is going to play for a quick second to what gives me pause. Okay. And I don't necessarily agree with these rankings, but this is where he has them. In your top 10, he's got Texas, LSU, Notre Dame, Florida.
Okay.
All on A&M schedule, right? Okay. In his 11 through 20, A&M's there, by the way, at number 14. He's got South Carolina. I guess that's the only other team. So 5 of your teams, I'm just making sure I'm looking at this correctly, he's got on A&M's schedule in the top 20 as of today.
And let me say this. If he has A&M 14, then you don't get to be 14 because if you lose all those 5 games, you're 7-5. You're not ranked at all.
Right.
If you're 14, that means you probably have at least 9 wins.
Okay. And then from those games, which are the more likely wins? I'll go in order. Number 2, Texas. As of right now, I don't think a lot of people would predict A&M to win, but they can on the road, rivalry game. I get it.
Yeah, rivalry game.
Right. LSU number 5.
Haven't won there since 94.
Okay. On the road at Notre Dame.
Okay.
I think you can absolutely beat Florida at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one on this list is South Carolina at 18.
Yeah. Well, if I was listing today the games I thought were, understanding they're all going to be difficult, but most likely to win, I would say number 1 is going to be South Carolina. Number 2 is going to be Florida. Number 3, I would say, is Notre Dame. I
would agree.
Number 4, I would say, is
Texas.
It might be Texas. No, well, because
I just think you have a better chance of winning at DKR in Baton Rouge just because the last time they did it, I was in high school.
Yeah, but we've seen them this close the last 2 times.
Yeah, but
so if well, like I say A&M almost. Well, breakthrough. Breakthrough.
So I'm not, and again, you cannot use one season as your litmus test for the next season. Now you can build on stuff, right? But we can't just look at what A&M was bad at last year and apply it to this year. And by the way, what they were good at last year and necessarily apply, like I expect the running backs to be one of the best in the SEC. That's my expectation. They were last year when they were healthy, correct?
Yeah, I saw Cole Kubelek just put them on his podcast as the number 3 running back room in the conference. I thought they were underrated. He had Texas number 2 and Florida number 1.
He had Florida 1, okay. But there is a question about the running back room because we don't know how Le'Veon Moss is going to return from a knee injury. We don't know what Ruben Owens is going to be. We think we know, but we don't know. I still expect him to be in that top 3. But so I guess what my point is, you can't expect, you can hope, and you can think that Le'Veon's going to be the exact same player he was last year. I think he will be. I'm fairly sure about that. But we got to see how he comes back from injury.
Yeah, if he's back, and I think everything I've been told is
he will be.
Le'Veon doesn't necessarily rely on great speed. He's definitely fast now, and he doesn't rely on necessarily shiftiness either. So I think those things that you worry about from a knee injury, you may not
worry as much with him.
Worry about as much with him.
I just know that young man, and I know the kind of player he is, and I expect him to be what he was last year.
I do too.
That's my expectation. But I do understand why you would be like, he's coming back from injury. Let's see.
Sure.
Because when you come back from knee injuries, that is kind of the case.
Well,
right?
one of the reasons that they had that Cole Kublik has Texas number 2 in the running back room is Cedric Baxter, who's coming back from injury.
Right.
So we always base all these things on if your players are healthy.
100%. So, but again, we just went through the top 20, and there are several teams A&M's going to have to face, and you're going to have to win big games. Because if you don't win big games, then what are we doing this for?
Yeah, you understand that it's going to be hard. If it was going to be, if you want it to be easy, go back to the Big 12.
In today's college sports, ain't that bad of a deal. I'm not saying to leave the SEC by any stretch, and I don't want to turn this into a topic, but in today, the way it is today, not the way it's going to be in a couple of years, the way it is today, if you have resources and you're in the Big 12, you got yourself a chance to the playoffs.
Texas Tech.
Exactly. Texas Tech should be in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
ACC, same thing, should be in the playoffs.
SMU.
Look at what they did last year.
They spend a lot of money.
They do. So, in today's world, if you are one of the few that can spend that kind of money, I think it makes sense. I'm not by any means saying A&M should leave the SEC. My point is the way it is today with our resources, not having to face top, but then you get exposed later, which is what we saw from SMU.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
A&M has the resources to compete, or not just compete, to win in the SEC, and they need to win.
They do. Let me do this. Let me talk about Milliken Reserve, and then we'll give some final thoughts heading into the baseball game. Milliken Reserve is a farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and their mission is to build a healthy community around nature. They're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community. If you love hanging out outdoors, that's the place to go. In the Brazos Valley, you can go walking, you can go biking, you can go canoeing, kayaking, fishing, you name it. They have all the fun outdoor activities, and it really brings families together in nature. And if you don't have a house there, you can still hang out there. If you want a house, they got great neighborhoods there at Milliken Reserve. Some of the neighborhoods include the Creek, the Hollow, the Meadows. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. Again, that website is millikenreserve.com. Go check it out. Go be outdoors with your family, guys. All right. Ryan Prager's going to win today. There you go. I feel good about Ryan Prager pitching. As I had mentioned earlier, there was a part of me that kind of wanted to see him in the next game. But you get the extra rest. Go with a guy that the most dependable arm you have.
I think you go with your best option no matter what. You can't play games and try to manipulate things. You just got to do whatever you think gives you the absolute best chance to win.
And Ryan Prager, I think, does give them the best chance to win. And anytime he's had to carry this team on his back, he has done a great job. I think we will see that. OB, thanks for hanging out for a few extra minutes. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live. Gig 'em Aggies, win, move on. We'll have something to talk about tomorrow. We'll see you mañana.